Hey, this is another episode of How I Built It. And this show is basically where I chat with founders, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and professionals to talk about the things that they're building, how they've come to where they are, and their vision for the future. And today I'm talking to Jay Spivey, founder and CEO of Pickey. Hey Jay, how you doing?
It's good to be here, man. Doing great, doing great. Another beautiful day in Austin.
Yeah, beautiful day. So in very few words, can you explain what exactly your company does?
So Pickey is a on-demand photo and video capture service app. So there's a ton of use cases here, so I can't even really get specific. If you need better content, period, we send you somebody on demand. They take either your photos or videos for you right now, send them to you the same day, and we do all that at a fraction of the cost of a professional or a studio. And we're using professionals and freelancers and really creative, dope people who are using the industry's best equipment. So we're the first of our kind, I would say. There's
so many other companies who do kind of like what you do, but not necessarily in the space of like photography and video and things like that. Like, why did you get so specific?
Well, for a long time, it was actually just photo, and that's been done, which is why we sort of opened the platform. So my background, I actually did marketing and product photography and SEO and backend development and a bunch of other things for a company called Adorama, which is $500 million photo and video equipment company in New York City. I've worked at a photo studios, I was production coordinator at various studios, and that was actually the idea, just go photo, because I was a photographer and I was broke, and I just wasn't booking paid gigs. It was just tough. Like, if you don't rank on the first page of Google, it's hard to book as a photographer, because what are you going to look for if you need a photographer, like for your product photos? Product photographer near me. So it's going to show you that first page, and it's just instinct to only look at that first page and only to, book somebody off that first page. I wanted, people like me who don't have that website that's ranking to still have an opportunity to work whenever we want, and the playing field is level. And I talked to a lot of photographers, and the first thing I found is that a lot of them were also videographers. And a lot of them actually were like, well, when you open this up to video, I'll be really excited about it. For photos, yes, but for video, big yes, because it's way harder to book those. So I just really started to think about it like, well, what sort of use cases would I even be able to build a video platform for? And YouTube content, if you got a YouTube channel, TikTok content, if you're an influencer, your brand just needs better brand videos. You need ads, you need commercials. So it was kind of a no-brainer to open it up, and that was maybe 2 months ago that we went from photo to everything. If you have a drone and that drone has a camera and you're good at taking footage, you can sign up for Pickey and we can find work for you.
That's dope, just dope. So essentially, what were some of the, you described the drive towards video was inspired by talking to the users who are going to be using the app. What other learnings have you had interacting with a customer that has informed your development of the product?
It's crazy because every time I talk to a user or, just a friend, just somebody who has their own startup, it's always the same thing. They give me a use case. I'm always like, what are you building? What's Pickey? I tell them what Pickey is, and they're like, I want to use this for X thing. And it's a new thing that I hadn't even thought of. And I think that's the beauty of Pickey, is that it's like, there's no parameters. Like, we literally can build content for the world if we want to. And that's what I'm learning every day. Every day there's a new thing that I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that genre also needs content, but it's sort of a no-brainer. Everybody needs better content. So I'm doing as much talking to users as I possibly can. We're a few days out from completing the beta. So now is the time to really be learning what our users want before we, start A/B testing and seeing what works and seeing what people dig.
Yeah, I was smiling through you saying that because I remember when I met you, the very first thing that I said to you was, this product you described to me, we really need it at the nonprofit I'm working with, because we're basically trying to go out there and get testimonials for our participants. And I'm like, wow, this kind of service makes that work easier. So
and affordable.
And affordable, and that's great. So in kind of like the way that I also perceive that, it's like you're serving two types of users, right? You're serving the marketplace, photographers and videographers, but then you're also serving the customer, who's the end consumer, who's looking for those services. So how exactly are you balancing that, and what is that experience like for you? What do you imagine that it's going to be?
At this point, we're trying to build a really robust beta tester list, which I think we have one at this point, from photographers, videographers, to drone operators, to the actual user. And it's a different part of my day, each different use case. So the user, I'm going to take 3 or 4 hours talking to you today. The photographer, another 3 or 4 hour block talking to you. And I do really segment it out that way. And that's the only way to do it without going a little bit crazy, because you're not just talking to, a lot of companies are B2B. So it's like you have your product, you're selling it to businesses. That's it. That's your product. Pickey is so awesome and so complex, and there's so much going on that I do have to be like, well, you know, Monday is for videographers, Tuesday is for drone operators, and every day is different. Every day is exciting, and every day is like, you know, an adventure, because we're focusing on a new path and a new type of user. With South by Southwest coming up the other day, it was just South by Southwest all day. That's literally all I was dealing with was bands, which is very weird for like a startup, like that's not band centric.
Yeah.
All day long I'm talking to bands, and I have meetings with bands. And that's kind of what it's been so far. I imagine it's just gonna like scale and be even weirder as each day passes.
So have you always lived in Austin?
I just got here a month and 2 days ago. So fresh off the plane from, I went to LaGuardia, got on that plane in New York City, got here, and it's like the second I stepped off the plane, I felt the energy of Austin. It's like, the startup culture here is just unlike anything I could have imagined. It's what I wanted, but I didn't expect this at all. So
it's interesting that you say that, because I just saw a report yesterday that said 66% of the venture capital funding that happens in the U.S. happens between the Silicon Valley, busting, in New York City. You know, I think New York City is probably like 17%, and Austin is only 2%. But so it's interesting that you talk about the culture. Like, what exactly in the culture is inspiring you, or what are you seeing that you kind of like didn't see in New York, and how is that like fueling your journey and passion?
It's the community. It's definitely there are real people here building real things. And you're getting to know those new things. Every day there's a few new products and new startups that I learned about that I get excited about. I love New York City. I never experienced that there. Not one day was it like, oh man, I learned about all these new really cool products happening in my city. You never experienced that. Everybody's working in silos in New York City. And I imagine the same case with Silicon Valley, where it's like, your startup is your startup, and they're at their startup, working on the startup. In Austin, it's like we're one big community of builders, and we're all connecting in different, when the night we met, how many people did we meet that were working on awesome things, man? And investors are right there in the thick of it too, when they're learning about these products. And it's just like a very warm, inviting culture. I got off that plane, and it's like Austin hugged me. It was just like, welcome, come to me, like my love. Like, that's really what it felt like. And I think that that's the case for everybody. Everybody that's out here, we're all transplants.
Yeah.
I've met 100 people from New York already that are new.
I moved here from New York as well.
Exactly. So we're all brand new, man. And it's like, I think that that's an opportunity here in Austin is like you said, the amount of venture capital that is happening here. I don't think that there's enough. But I think the most important thing is that the products are being built here, and that the teams are here, and that the community of these products and teams are happening right here. I think that the venture capital will follow. I think it's following now.
It was interesting that you said that, because that was what I was going to say, because the money always follows the action. It always
100%.
follows the activity. So kind of like rounding it off, can you describe to me what you see the future of Pickey being? Like, what in the next maybe 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, what are the milestones that you're looking to hit that will kind of like make you feel confident in your growth as a company?
I think the most important thing for Pickey is for us to build a community. We want people to be really excited about the product. We don't, a lot of companies are like, well, I want to get bought by X company from Fang. That's like totally not our goal. We're a very small, very hardworking, fun team. And we want to build a community of people that really dig Pickey. We want to build a community of photographers who, I'm going to, work on my craft today. I'm going to work on my art today because Pickey exists. Videographers are going to shoot video today. I'm going to, be able to edit and be able to send out new content and build my portfolio because of Pickey. And I wouldn't have this opportunity unless it was Pickey. Businesses, brands, influencers, anyone. I got these awesome photos and videos coming today because of Pickey. That's really our goal. We have KPIs and they're very boring and like whatever. And if we don't reach them, it's like, not really the end of the day. Our parameters when it comes to how successful we are, it's the community. It's like if we can build a group that really loves using on both sides, the contractor and the user. If we can build a community that really loves using this app, we'll feel like we were a success. We want to scale. We want to have 1 billion users. Everybody does. Like that's the goal. We want to be on Instagram's level when it comes to our amount of users. That's a long road. That's a lot of work. We're a 4-person team right now. We're going to have to be a 400-person team before we get to that point. So every day it's just like wake up, be excited about this thing, be ready to talk to users, and build this thing into a community. So people, dig it as much as they love Instagram one day.
Yeah. So what is it, that you've kind of like being able to, that the community is doing for you right now, and the things that you kind of like give back and get back from the community now, not just of the users in your platform, but I'm speaking of the startup community in Austin.
I think that's the awesome thing too here in Austin is it's like there's no expectation like I help you, you help me. It's just like you learn about a new product, you learn about a startup, and you're like, oh, I really like that product and startup. Let me help you. I have a connection, or I have, I want to be a user. And I think that's where the community in Austin really comes in to play, where you really see it, is people are just helping one another build their thing, and there's no like, you're going to give me a consultant check after this, right? Like I'm going to get it's just like a very warm, let me help you. If you have something for me, cool, man. If not, whatever. I'm a member at Capital Factory, which is a big deal for me and for this company because we're just right in the center of the startup universe here in Austin. And we have connections to, startups in the crypto space, startups in every space. And investors are right here and they're communicating with us on a daily basis. And we have mentor opportunities here. And it's amazing. Austin has like a really incredible thing here at Capital Factory specifically, but just the city of Austin also has that forward motion and that community building atmosphere that I haven't seen anywhere else. And I think we're becoming the new Silicon Valley, if I can say that. I think I can confidently say that. Maybe if we had some more Silicon Valley investors migrating with Elon Musk's and all the other companies moving this way, which we will, I think, at some point. But I think right now we're all kind of helping each other out in a really dope way. And I think it's happening at Capital Factory, but it's happening in Austin.
Yeah. So did you have any last words? Was there anything that I missed out that you'd like to touch on? Or
I mean, yeah, just to leave off, I can say so much about Austin and about how much I love it. It's literally been a month and 2 days since I touched down. But I think the most important thing for my company and for me as an individual is having that support. I think you have the support in such an incredible way here in the city. And I think all startups should consider Austin as, a potential destination to headquarter. I've been in New York City. I've been in California. I've never experienced anything like this, and I think this is the beginning of something really amazing here in Austin, and for Pickey.
Yeah. Hey, man, thank you for coming to this show and sharing your knowledge and expertise and your vision and your passion for Pickey, and I wish you all the best and a lot of success with the company.
Likewise. Thanks, my man.